this piece, this wall, is the wall of homage. So very much to the spirit of Blokhedz, we do veneration of the pioneers and of our ancestors in order to set off the whole gallery. So here we're just paving the way for the heroes and the pioneers that built hip-hop to where it is now. Okay, so we have Grandmaster Flash, we have Melly Mel. If you know hip-hop, you know these are our founding fathers of the culture. Okay, and so this piece here was done by Ed Pisker, who does a graphic novel called Hip Hop Family Tree. He has 2 volumes of these. This here is an interior page, and the sentiment kind of speaks exactly to what Blokhedz is. So here we have the rappers in, you know, their Clark Kent or their Peter Parker, and then they have them in their rap personas or their hero personas. And it's really set off poignantly here when you have the rappers who battle and they juxtapose it with, you know, 2 Marvel characters battling. So the battle wages on in superhero land and with the hip hop battle. So and to go segue into that. Thank you, brother. Well, so it's cool because we go from we have Run DMC, who's, you know, cornerstones in hip hop, and DMC is coming out with a new comic book now, which me and Mike did a chapter in. And so this is the DMC hero as an actual superhero fighting crime in New York in the late 80s, you know, where it was real grimy. So these episodes are out now, these issues are out now, so it's good to show support for that too, you know, because we're all kind of on that same mission, you know, just to bring new stories to the mainstream, you know. Exactly. And it's a wonderful archetype. And a friend of mine, Felipe Smith, this is his page. Shauna Mills, who's an amazing artist, she designed this character's outfit, and I think it's very iconic, and it speaks to her talent. So here, you know, this is paying homage to our superheroes, our hip-hop heroes. And so we transition here from the heroes that paved the way to someone that influenced us directly when it comes to Blokhedz. This is Nas. If you guys know rap, you know Nas is a prolific, poetic artist. And his early album, his first album, Illmatic, it sounds what Blokhedz is. Right. It's the same thing. And so we felt the connection to this album, the Illmatic album, and we wanted to manifest something that had the same spirit and the same vibe as the stories that Nas told in his first album. And so one day we read it in the Source magazine, right? And flipping through the pages, whatever, and we said, wait a minute, they're talking about Blokhedz, right? So like it was totally like dropped the magazine. I was like, wait a minute, that can't be real. And it was. And so I'm just gonna read a quote. He says, my lyrics sound like how he looks, and he's talking about the main character, Black. And to me, that's full circle. Like I couldn't script that. That's like the universe telling me that I'm doing something right. You know what I'm saying? And so it was a really powerful moment. So I had to use this to transition into the 3D Blokhedz animated short that we have here. And it's gonna cycle in a moment. And we can spend a second just watching this. This is a 2-minute animated piece that we did with Cartoon Network in like 2009, 2010, and it depicts young Black here in a battle against King Vulture, who's his arch nemesis. And so the themes are dark and light, very, very Star Wars, very traditional hero's journey kind of thing. And so Black is a champion of light, and I'll let it speak for itself. He battles the forces of darkness, you know, that old story.
Elders forge a great medallion to unlock powers in others. Some use their powers for good, others for evil. There's been a war between light and dark, and until now, darkness has been winning. Now the bad guys are after me, because I have a medallion. But I also have magic. I can use my rhymes to stay out of trouble. Usually.
want 2 shots for that adjacent building?
Yeah, Audio, I'm going for it.
You lost all reason?
No!
The probability of making 2 shots for 0.00794.
Got this. We're gonna make it! Not gonna make it! Ah! Audio, a little help, please! Ah! That was sick, man. So sick.
You can't hide from a vulture on the rooftops. You know what I came for. Get it up.
You're never getting this one down. Audio, give me a beat.
Mama, don't let the baby go away. I'ma snatch your medallion, vulture town.
It's too slow. You walk slow with the light. I take flight and go!
You're gonna need a stronger flow for this fight. Slice your arrow up with my shadow spikes.
Now it's time to reverse the curse. 4 directions. Healing. Light. Make the darkness disperse.
So the whole idea behind Blokhedz is basically using the power of music for good, because we believe, like, our philosophy behind this whole concept is that music is powerful, and if you use it one way, it can lead to kids acting a certain way. If you use it for positivity, then maybe we can uplift some of the kids, you know? And that's the basic sentiment of it all. It all started in a conversation where Mark and I was like, right, so what if rappers, like, just talked about knowledge of self and you know, raising the consciousness of the youth? Like, what if that was considered cool? Like, what if, you know, we asked that question to each other, because if Jay-Z can say, you know, I don't wear jerseys anymore, I wear button-ups, and everybody's wearing button-ups now, that influence is a force and it's a power. Magic. It's magic. And so we just wanted to reiterate that kind of influence that the culture does have on the population, especially the youth. Yeah. And translate it visually. Right. Because hip-hop is probably one of the only art forms that unites all races and colors and creeds, you know. So, and across generations, and working on the sex part, the sexism, but, you know, not everything's perfect. And that's a good transition to our character Essence here. She's had a little trouble recently because I don't know if somebody bumped it or whatever, but she's doing the Michael Jackson Smooth Criminal League right there. But this is Essence, and she keeps young Black in check, basically. She started off as a love interest, and I felt like that wasn't strong enough for this world, okay, for this Blokhedz world. So she eventually evolved into Black's basically spiritual advisor. She's a young warrior priestess in training. She actually has magic. And you won't see this in the first graphic novel. In the second graphic novel, it's a reveal. So she's going to become a force in Blokhedz much stronger than Black. Because I think it's important to have these type of characters expressed. And I work with a partner named Michael Schultz, and at first we didn't want to do the female toy. This is the Urban Vinyl toy. It was sponsored by Adidas, and we made a run of 1,000. But these two were the first ones. Well, Vulture was the first one, and he sold like hotcakes. This is the Japanese version. It's the Carhartt jacket. The original version doesn't have a jacket, and he has yellow Timbs. This sold like 1,000 in a week in Japan. And so I'm like, that's pretty cool, right? And then so we made Essence, and the response that we got from the young women going to the Comic-Cons and going to all the conventions and stuff like that was astounding, because there's not that many characters like this that the women can gravitate to and say, you know what, she's a powerful heroine and I see myself in her. So I think that's really important, because I believe women are the foundation, you know, and I think it needs to be represented that way, in that light. So I'm really excited to have Essence be a force in the Blokhedz universe. And I'm happy with the guys too, but you know, they knuckleheads, yeah. And so here, this is, I feel like, the centerpiece, Young Black, and the radio here is, I'm really proud of the radio, guys, because it took me years to find this radio. It's vintage, it's real deal. It's a Lasonic TRC 91, and this is the original cool boombox back in the 80s, when people would walk around listening to the music in the street and you would hear it just everywhere you went, you know, and that's when I felt like the culture was at its height and at its purest before it became, you know, what it is now, which is a good thing, but at the same time there are other hands involved that's making it a little different, and it's being steered in a different way, but that's all good. So we could move around over here. Let's actually talk about this graffiti piece real quick. I didn't do this piece. This piece was created by a partner of ours